Hey everybody, welcome to this weekly update. I am covering off news from GitHub, Azure, and also some personal news, so stay tuned. Hey everybody, welcome to this weekly update with myself, Sarah Lean. Now, it is a bit of a bittersweet day because if you saw my social media announcements or you saw my video yesterday, you'll know that today is my last day as a Microsoft employee. Like I said, it's definitely bittersweet to be leaving, but I'm excited for the new opportunity and new adventure that I'm heading off to in a couple of weeks' time. So if you have any questions, hit me up, any comments, hit me up about that, or equally go and check out some of the social media posts or the video I posted here yesterday. Explains a bit more about what's happening with me. Now, in terms of the news this week, I want to cover off a bunch of things that have been happening. In terms of the GitHub world, we have seen some announcements there. So the GitHub Enterprise Server 3.2 version went generally available. Now, the GitHub Enterprise Server is a version of GitHub in your own environment, in a kind of controlled environment. You're not publicly accessing it, but you do get the features that you get with GitHub. Now, there's over 70 new features and changes inside this new version release, so it's definitely something you should have a look at and consider if you're already running GitHub Enterprise Server, because it may be that it's time to upgrade and see where the new features can take you as an organization. Now, also in the GitHub world, I noticed that there's a pricing calculator. Now, I don't know if this has been around for a while or if it's just new, but there's a pricing calculator that can help you understand the cost if you want to use things like GitHub code spaces and GitHub actions and use repositories in an enterprise fashion, and you want to be able to price that up and see if it's an alternative or add it into your environment. So yeah, I'll post some links down below where you can get some information about that pricing calculator and stuff, so definitely check that out. Now, I also saw that we have announced at Microsoft availability zones for the Norway East Azure Data Centre. So the Norway East Azure Data Centre now has availability zones that you can use for your environment. So that's a good move as well. I think those Norway data centres are fairly new. I think 2019 or 2018 was when it was built. So it's a fairly new data centre, and having availability zones is obviously a great feature to be having as well. Now, I also saw an announcement from the Microsoft team where they're actually going to help support certain open source projects. So you'll get some Azure credits for a year if your open source project meets the requirements. So I think you have to be open source initiative license, so the OSI license for your open source project, and yeah, you can use those credits for development purposes, for testing storage, for any kind of feature that you might want to test out within Azure. So I think you get that funding for a year. Again, I'll post some links so you can check that out and potentially apply for your open source project as well. So the other thing that I wanted to cover off in terms of the Azure news is the new network security dashboard that you get inside Security Centre. And this is something that gives you a unified view of what's happening with all your network resources. Because let's face it, the bigger your Azure footprint gets, the more networking resources you have, and the harder it kind of becomes to monitor that and make sure everything is where it should be and how it should be. So with this new dashboard, you are querying Azure Resource Graph. So it's querying Azure Resource Graph and pulling that into a report for you, a dashboard, something that's easy to read and not just text. And it will be divided into different categories. So if I think about some of the things you'll get to see in there, you'll see things like public IP addresses, exposed ports, internal network mapping, gateway and VPN services, just to name a few of the things that you'll be able to see. So this is a pretty cool feature. I believe it's going to be free to everybody. So have a look inside your Azure Security Centre for the new network security dashboard and see how it can help you better your environment. Now, the last bit of news I wanted to cover off, as it's the 1st of October, means that Hacktoberfest has started. Now, if you haven't previously taken advantage of Hacktoberfest or participated in it, I definitely recommend that you do. I think I've participated in the last 3 years or last 4 years of the project, and it's been running for about 8 years. And what it is encouraging people to go out and contribute and add to open source projects. Now, there have been some controversy around this programme. I think in the last couple of years, the amount of spam that people get in terms of pull requests to their open source projects has increased, just because people want that free t-shirt that you get at the end of it. So I think traditionally you have to do 5 contributions to an open source project or open source projects, and you would get a free t-shirt, or you would be able to donate a tree that would be planted in your honour. And people have been doing stupid kind of pull requests where they've just maybe capitalised something or changed the spelling of something and then counted that as a contribution. Now, of course, I have done this in the past with some documentation. There's been some corrections that I've made that are more grammatically correcting some of the documentation. But those are important contributions as well, right? We don't want documentation being massively unreadable and just incorrect across the board. But you should be contributing something more than just that, correcting a comma or a full stop. So definitely have a look at Hacktoberfest. Everybody can contribute. It isn't just a developer only project. They are changing how you can interact this year. So open source projects on GitHub have to have the Hacktoberfest tag to be able to participate. So you can't participate with just everything, and some open source projects are opting out of it, but I know a lot of the Microsoft documentation is actually opting in. Again, I would encourage you to have a look at this, but please don't be the person that contributes 4 or 5 contributions where you're just correcting full stops or capitalizations or spelling. Actually think about what you're contributing to the community and make this a good Hacktoberfest for everybody involved, both the Hacktoberfest organisers, the maintainers of these open source projects, and other participants as well. So yeah, that's my weekly update video for this week. I am off for 2 weeks before my new job starts. I am hoping to get out and about in Scotland. I have no plans at the moment about whether I will do these videos or will I not do these videos. Potentially I will do these videos. I will try and be out and about so that you get a bit of scenery. Hopefully the weather plays ball. Today is absolutely peeing down. The rain is just bouncing off the windows and the ground and hitting you not only on the way down, but on the way back up. So hopefully over the next 2 weeks the weather will be much better and I'll be able to get out and show you a bit of scenery in Scotland. But yeah, thank you everybody for tuning in, for catching up on these weekly videos. They may stop for the next 2 weeks, but they will continue. They definitely will continue. I enjoy doing this. I enjoy keeping up to date with the news and finding out what's been happening in the tech industry. So fear not, these videos will continue. But yeah, hopefully see you in another one, and yeah, stay safe everybody.